Alright, day 2, Chieftain Righteous Fire. Chieftain has been spectacular. I love this ascendancy. I have been having a blast. I'm going to run a T16 map just to show the build off a little bit. It's not very good in terms of damage, but tankiness, it's going pretty strong. I'm in a bit of an awkward phase in the build because I'm trying to save up enough refunds, enough regrets, and get enough cluster jewels to path out of here, get that cluster jewel, path out of here, get this cluster jewel, path out of all of this, and then grab this cluster jewel and do a triple cluster jewel setup, and or path out of like most of this stuff, and then pop up into this area and get these projectile damages, get these spell damages, get this physical damage, and then change my passive from the explosions, which are really good, to this jewel and see if these actually do convert to 30% fire damage if you select all 3 of these sockets. I had one user tell me that he tried it and it worked. Obviously, I have to verify for myself, but going in there and testing that out would be really cool, especially because these nodes are awesome, because this 16% physical is going to be 32 fire, and this is going to be 32 fire, and this is going to be 32 fire, and I'm already all up in these areas, so it's a bunch of free fire damage. And then grabbing this node, once I get blood notch going, I can grab this mastery here to make my stun based on my energy shield, and then that'll be excellent. In terms of gear, I'm still using this pretty bad. I mean, I guess that's not that bad, but I kind of just found it and crafted that fire damage on it. Really not that good. I went and bought this. It was 60C at the moment. I don't know what it is now. It's probably, I haven't updated POE trade in a very long time. I grabbed a Calm's Roots. My Righteous Fire is being supported by these gloves. I got these for 5 chaos, and they're pretty good for my build for 5 chaos, because I like that fire res, life regeneration, life, then +2 to socketed AoE gems. Now, the AoE gem sockets is primarily just to give Righteous Fire 2 levels. I should buy a 21 Righteous Fire at some point. The boots, they're pretty solid for this state in the game. The ring is this one's pretty good in terms of fire damage. I really need fire res on it. I'm going to hit it with a null once I get it, and hopefully I hit that strength. Or, man, maybe I won't hit it with the null. That's pretty good, to double dip it on the fire like that. And this amulet is just trash. This is the first amulet I got in white maps, and I just threw it on, and I'll be replacing that at some point. I don't think I've ever had such a low currency drop in this game, and I believe it is from my Atlas. I try to do a Beyond strategy, grabbing all of the Beyond nodes, and I don't think I know how Beyond works. So if we take a look, Beyond demons in your map grant 10% increased experience, 10% chance for maps to attract Beyond demons. So I think in order for any of these nodes to work, like these portal nodes, slaying enemies in your maps has a 15% chance to spawn a Beyond portal. I think these only work if the map already has the Beyond modifier on it. And right now I believe I only have a 10% chance to get that Beyond modifier. So I think these Beyond nodes might be bad because I don't understand how Beyond works fully. Because whenever I open a map, it feels like I'm not getting Beyond enemies. It feels like I'm getting normal. And so far, these tormented spirits, I'm not paying enough attention to see if I'm actually getting them. But I should be able to be tormented by tormented spirits. And all of the bosses have a 10% chance to be surrounded by tormented spirits. And then the spirits should be lasting longer. I wanted to try this out. I'm not really loving this either. I'm loving this because my damage is low for now, so once I go into the maps, the simulacrum just stays forever. It makes it hard, it makes it slow, and I kind of like that. Right now, I'm just finishing up the Delirium, but I literally have all the Beyond nodes. Beyond. And it's not working perfectly. Now, Expedition with this big bomb is excellent. This was very well designed. Very, very well designed. And I don't really have to worry about anything except for immunity to fire. So I just make sure there's no immunity to fire, which they changed to glow yellow. So now I don't have to read. And me not being a good reader, any build that makes it so I don't have to read, that's good for me. I was having bleed problems, and I didn't really want to put on steel skin, so I popped over here and grabbed this bleed immunity node. I'm going to path out of that eventually and probably just use the steel skin on left click for bleed immunity, but for now, I want a little bit more bleed immunity and not have to hold my left click for it. And Vol Molten Shell is going to work very well because I am very tanky. 58,000 armor, 90%, and this is without my flask. Pop the flask, goes to 70,000 armor. Life regeneration, 2,000 a second. 90 to all res. This is exactly, I mean, what I said would happen when I started a Chieftain did in fact happen. Completely through and through. I'm happy. I got 3 flasks on auto. 2 of them are well rolled, but they both have crit, which is kind of nasty, but I'll sell this one. I think it's a T1, T2. That should sell pretty well. So I'll re-roll this one off and then sell it, and then I'll keep this one. Even though it's worse, I don't need crit. Or maybe I'll just sell them both towards end game. But I still have 2 more that don't. I think this evasion is kind of nice. So if you take a look, if you get absolutely surrounded, because I only have 6 recoup and I don't have blood notch yet, when you pop this evasion, it gives you 25% chance to evade. Now, obviously, I got immunity to bleed. I'm going to re-roll that right now on the fly to anything just to give me more duration. Boop. Oops, wrong one. Sure. I don't care if it's a reduced effect. It just gives me like 25% chance to evade, and then with the shield having, what is that? 20% chance to block, 24% chance to block. Got 24% chance to block, 24% chance to evade. It allows my health to recover, and since I'm on low life, the damage that I take is taken over time, and sometimes I can get a little bit overwhelmed if I'm in the thick of it. I'm using Punishment as my curse, and I'm using this because I like it. I really like Firestorm, and I really like the Vol version of Firestorm, so I just run around Vol Firestorms. Now you think, since I'm going Delirium, and it shows up in most maps, that I would have a large Fire Cluster Jewel, but I haven't found a single one. Not even a high one. I got 2 medium fire over time. I'm thinking of re-rolling instead of fire damage over time, just doing generic damage over time. It's because I have another build in mind that's going to use both bleed and ignite. And if I just do generic damage, which will work for both bleed and ignite, you know, I don't have to re-roll the cluster jewels, and I hate rolling cluster jewels. And I would put this this curse, oh, it's immune to curse. I would put the curse on a cast on hit, but I have too much socket pressure because I'm using Calm's Heart. And I'm using that spell. So one of my rings, I'll probably get a ring with a socket in it. So that way I don't have to click the curse, and it will just auto-curse people who hit me. Delirium T16, day 2. It's doing okay. Defenses is really good. I feel the offenses are just a little lower. I've never really watched anyone else play a Righteous Fire build. The last Righteous Fire build I did, I only remember the end game of it, and I've never started a Righteous Fire build. So if you're a Righteous Fire player, you can critique my build and tell me if the damage is good, if it's bad, because I don't really have a frame of reference. I guess this map doesn't have anything to make him stronger. Give me vulnerability, but I don't think vulnerability does anything to me. I mean, with all that armor, I just stay stationary. And I really wanted to live the stationary dream. GGG is trying to make stationary a thing, so I kind of want to, you know, see what I can do with their choice to make stationary a thing. And for all I know, that stationary node doesn't work. Let me see. I'm moving. I stop. Oh, it definitely works. Holy crap. Wow. Yeah. Resistances are nuts in this game. Enemies with resistances, they just really hard to kill. Unless you have penetration or some way to mitigate it, turn it 0. Hashtag, that's why the Inquisitor's the best. Inquisitor's entire identity dies if you remove... never mind. It doesn't die. Inquisitor has 2 identities. It can be a pretty good Righteous Fire because of its split regeneration between Energy Shield and Life. Though I think that is more fitting for the mana character a little bit. So that way if the mana character splits the damage between mana, life, and energy shield, because the mana gives you more energy. Anyways, it doesn't matter. It's kind of funny. Inquisitor gets such praise, but it has an entire dead node, the fanaticism. I'm not sure anyone has made an actual successful build out of. And using fanaticism is so much damn work that no one wants to make a successful build at it. But it is one of the best ascendancies in the game. Oh, immunity to fire. So here, I'm so glad that's there, because you can see a perfect example of how this goes. And it can be kind of rough. So we have this here, but you can't see the edges of it. So you really need to not get that immunity to fire. So I have to throw it way over here in order to explode it. And hopefully I missed it. Yeah, I missed it. See, I got into too much trouble. I was talking, not paying attention. And maybe that vulnerability did impact me a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm thinking about maybe using that shield where 15% of basically all damage is taken as fire, and seeing if it helps with this, because minus 200 damage from hits with the fire. All hits that come in are reduced by 200, and depending on where they apply that stack, that could be pretty good. If it's applied at the very end instead of the beginning, let's say they hit you with 4,000 fire damage, that's gonna be 3,800. That's not that big of a deal for a big hit, but you take 100 small mobs like I was just getting hit by, and each one's hitting you for 300. That's gonna reduce each hit to 100. And then also, if you convert 20% of the damage is being dealt to fire, which that is doing, if someone hits you for 180 cold damage, 20% of that is going to go to fire, and that 20% is going to be completely mitigated. So I think using that shield will make me hyper tanky. Obviously still have a bit of trouble with damage over time, but I like the idea. I like the idea. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And my chaos resistances aren't that strong. I need to work on that. I have a flask that pops it to 30, but that's still not good enough. So I have one weakness there. But the explosions are great for building up these massive groups of enemies. And then the smaller enemies will just explode on them. Wow. That guy is hitting me with something. He is oh, I'm not even using my curse. I mean, I might as well not have the curses. The fact, the odds of me actually casting them are so low. Especially while trying to talk and record at the same time. I'm using Ignite Proliferation with this, just to try to clear up some riffraff. And also, if I can ignite people and walk away and then they die behind me, they have a chance of exploding. And most of my damage is damage over time, so I kind of have to go Ignite. Or I can use a burning spell, but I've already used those a lot. I've never used this spell, really. And I like to explore with new things. Oh, I also got Vol. Arctic Ice, which is interesting. Ugh. I didn't even see that death. I think it was a one-shot. Low life isn't as good on this build, but I'm planning on switching to Blood Notch at some point, so I figured I might as well get the mana setup for low life. And I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this Arctic armor permanent. I currently have Arctic armor hitting the health bar. Holy crap. I'm not going to fight that guy. He is just brutally hard. No, I can't not fight him. I'm not a coward. I just gotta be smart. And yeah, it looks like he was hitting with chaos, which I don't have resistances for. Inventory full. I shouldn't go back because, you know, I might die and not complete the... Oh, I don't need to complete that for my objective. Never mind. I've already got the Atlas bonus. Speaking of which, what's my Atlas progression? 102 out of 15. which I think is average, maybe. Actually, I don't even know what is average. It's probably pretty average, though, on day 2 to be about there. Got 2 Void Stones. So the objective of the playstyle and how I built this is to be really tanky and kind of try to go past the enemies so they can explode behind you. Because explode pops actually work way better than I was expecting. I'm kind of really glad I tested them out. I wasn't going to test them out. I was just going to go straight to the Jewel one, Flames Advance. But I figured someone had to test it, and it had to be me. I don't know if killing those does anything. I don't know anything about spirits. I didn't play when the Spirit League launched, so I've never learned the mechanic. I've just never cared. I'm a weird person because, like, I really like to play the game. I don't like to learn about the game a lot. I mostly just want to play it. Have fun running around, burning stuff, collecting loot. I don't have fun reading about the mechanics of what spirits do. I could watch a YouTube video, which would be, you know, much faster and more educational. But I don't care enough for that either. And I'm even spec'ing the spirits and I don't even know what they do. So maybe I'm just a dumbass. But oh, actually, you know what? I think it's I like to experiment with things and try to figure it out myself. That's what it is. I think there's a little bit of magic lost when you just Google something. Could be that I was, you know, born in the 80s and I was raised without internet. And now there's nothing you can't not know. You just Google it. Not that Google's always right. God damn it. I'm scratching my face. Not that Google's always right, but you know what I'm talking about. Back in the day, we're like, oh my gosh, this guy was in another movie. What was that movie? And then we would be there for hours trying to think of what other movie that guy was in. And we had no way to answer it. We'd literally have to go to the movie store and try to find the movie he was in by the covers. And that we would actually do that. Oh, what movie was this guy in? And then we'd go to the movie store. One of those guys hurt me. I'm not paying close enough attention to see how or who. So right now I don't know what the spirits do. But when the spirits infect me, I'll try to like gauge what they're doing. See if I can notice a difference in damage. See if I can notice a difference in movement speed. Because one thing that's kind of weird, and Diablo 4 really highlighted that, is if you're not paying attention to your build too much and you get an upgrade, and you don't feel the upgrade, is it really an upgrade? Did you get an upgrade? Or did you just not get an upgrade because you don't notice the upgrade? And in Diablo 4, every piece of gear you get when you upgrade, unless it has a unique effect, you just don't notice. Hell, most of the time you can just remove the piece and you barely even notice. None of the gear slots mean anything. None of the upgrades have any weight. They don't feel like upgrades. It doesn't feel like you're getting stronger. So that, I think it's a good way, instead of reading the numbers, maybe not a good way, but it's how I do it. Instead of reading the numbers like a POE score, like, oh, my damage is 6 million, just play the build and see what it actually feels like. And if if the game says something like increased chance to get something, instead of looking at numbers of how much it's increased, just see if you actually notice you getting more of that item. So for instance, if the game said spirits grant you 50% more damage, everyone's going to take that because, you know, spirits grant you 50% more damage. But then let's say the spirit infects you and it's for some reason bugged and it's only like 20% more damage. And you're like running around and you're like assuming it's 50% more damage, but not really like seeing if it's 50% more damage. Not really testing if the game's accurate. I mean, they had a bug on the champion where he was, I think, losing 10% of damage on everyone. And people were all taking that node, thinking they were getting that 10% of damage, but No one really paid attention if they were actually getting that 10% damage, because it's kind of hard to notice a 10% increase in damage. Or I'm just coping with the fact that I don't want to learn how the game works and learn what spirits do. I mean, I have some idea what spirits do in terms of some spirits will drop loot and rewards. But beyond that, I don't know if you get anything for killing a spirit. I don't know if spirits are just pointless to kill. There's no loot for killing them. I know they enhance enemies, and enemies can get better drops. But I don't know what happens when you kill a spirit. And so far, being infected by spirits, the few times I've been infected, I didn't notice anything. So, because I didn't notice anything, I'm going to move away from that node. Well, I'm going to give it a little more test. You know, I traveled all the way into there. I'm going to test it for a little while longer. Try to pay attention enough to see if I notice what the ghosts are doing, the specters are doing. But if I can't see a difference and I can't feel a difference, then to me there's not a difference. Even if there is a difference. Alright. Ranting about spirits. I obviously did not get a lot of sleep last night. Sad. Alright, that's it. I'll talk to you guys later.